Alex had always imagined what his life would be like on the colony world of Urindor, but he never expected it to start like this. He was standing in the main hall of the settlement's central dome, a place filled with humming lights, polished floors, and the quiet murmur of colonists talking. Today was supposed to be a simple, happy day, a tradition the colony had for every new adult member. They would receive a companion, a creature from one of the nearby alien biomes, a friend to guide them through their first year in this strange world. Alex had been dreaming of a small alien pet, something cute, something that could sit on his shoulder while he explored the forested hills nearby. Maybe a creature with soft, glowing fur or tiny wings that fluttered in the air. He had imagined naming it something fun, like Sparky or Fizz, and teaching it little tricks. It was a simple dream, but after growing up surrounded by technology and isolation, he craved that connection. The air in the hall shifted as the delegation arrived. They were tall, elegant figures, their skin shimmering faintly with colors Alex couldn't name. They moved with a grace that seemed impossible, their eyes large and reflective like polished gemstones. The colonists gave quiet murmurs of respect. Alex had met alien delegates before, but never this close, and never for something as personal as a companion. A tall female stepped forward. Her presence was commanding but not frightening, and her eyes, deep, luminous, and almost liquid, locked on Alex. "You are Alex of the Urindor settlement?" she asked in perfect English, though her voice carried a musical quality that made every word feel like a gentle ripple. Alex nodded, his mouth suddenly dry. Yes, that's me. "We have come to give you a companion. Please come forward." She stood taller than Alex, slender and graceful, her skin shifting with soft, light patterns that reminded him of a sunset reflected on water. Her hair, or what seemed like hair, moved like strands of silver liquid, catching the light with every subtle movement. Her eyes were enormous, glowing with shades of blue and violet, and they watched him with curiosity. Alex froze. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. His dream of a little pet was gone, replaced by this being who looked almost ethereal. The room fell silent, colonists whispering in astonishment. The alien girl smiled faintly, a small curve of her lips that suggested both amusement and curiosity. She made no move toward Alex, simply standing and observing him like he was a puzzle she was slowly beginning to understand. Alex's mind spun. This can't be right. They brought me a pet, not a person. He looked at the delegation, his eyes wide. I thought it would be smaller. In our culture, we do not send small creatures as companions. We send those who can learn, observe, and grow with the human. You were chosen for each other. For a moment, Alex felt a strange mix of fear, wonder, and something else he didn't recognize. "Her name is Lyra," the delegation explained. "She will stay with you, learn from you, and you from her. This is a gift, but also a partnership." He swallowed hard. A partnership. But another part of him, the part that always dreamed big, felt a rush of excitement. "This is amazing." He took a cautious step forward. Lyra tilted her head back, as if to acknowledge his movement, then took a single step toward him. Alex noticed her movements were precise and careful, but natural, almost like a dance. Every step she took seemed deliberate, yet graceful, like she had studied movement all her life. Hello," Alex said softly. I'm Alex." "She does not speak your language yet. You will need to teach her." Do you want to come with me?" "You will learn from her." Once outside, the two of them stood under the alien sky, where Urindor's twin suns painted the horizon with shades of pink and gold. Alex finally allowed himself to take a deep breath. "Okay," he said softly, more to himself than to Lyra. Let's figure this out." "Yeah, I guess that's yeah." Do you eat like humans?" Alex asked finally, pointing toward a small tray of food he had carried from the hall. Lyra tilted her head again, then mimicked his motion, reaching toward the tray and picking up a piece of fruit. She examined it carefully, then tasted it. Her eyes widened slightly, and she made another sound, this one resembling laughter. Alex grinned. "Okay, so that's a yes." "That's good." They spent the next few hours walking through the settlement, Alex pointing out simple things, water sources, the garden, small machines that helped with daily tasks. Lyra observed everything quietly, tilting her head, making small sounds, and occasionally touching objects with her delicate fingers. She seemed fascinated by the simplest things, and Alex couldn't help but feel a warm pride. "This is going to be an adventure," Alex said quietly. Lyra looked at him, and for a brief moment her eyes shimmered in a way that almost felt like agreement. That night, Alex set up a small sleeping area for Lyra in his quarters. She examined the space with careful interest, then settled down gracefully, her body curling in a way that seemed natural to her, though entirely alien to him. Alex lay in his own bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing. He had imagined companionship in a small, simple way. But this was something entirely new. And deep down, he realized that humans, with all their unpredictability, curiosity, and courage, might just be able to meet Lyra on equal footing. As the twin moons of Erendor rose over the horizon, casting a soft silver glow through the window, Alex whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, we start learning from each other." For Alex, the unexpected gift of a companion larger than life itself had changed everything. And he couldn't wait to see what would happen next. The morning light spilled across Alex's room, painting the walls in soft gold. He stirred awake, the events of the previous day replaying in his mind like a dream he could barely believe. Lyra lay across from him, her silver-like hair glowing faintly in the early sun, eyes half open, watching him carefully. Despite her alien appearance, there was a calm, almost gentle aura around her, as if she were studying him as much as he was studying her. Alex rubbed his eyes and let out a deep breath. "Okay, today is going to be about talking, or at least trying to understand each other," he muttered, speaking more to himself than to Lyra. Lyra blinked slowly and tilted her head, making a small melodic sound that reminded Alex of a wind chime. He grinned nervously. "Yeah, I think that means good morning, or maybe, what are you doing? Either way, let's call it progress." "See, this is a fruit," he said, pointing to a crude drawing of a round object. "You eat it. Yum." Lyra leaned forward, her luminous eyes scanning the sketch, and reached out a delicate hand to touch it. Alex watched, holding his breath. She traced the circle with her fingers, then looked up at him. She made a sound, a single note that rose and fell in a way he could not mimic. Alex nodded slowly. "Okay, that's your way of saying fruit, maybe. Or maybe you just like it. Either way, progress." He realized quickly that she was not just observing. She was processing, learning, and trying to understand him in her own way. After breakfast, Alex suggested they explore the settlement. He figured the best way to teach Lyra about human life was to show her, not just tell her. Lyra followed him silently, her movements precise and elegant, her eyes scanning every detail of the colony. The colonists who passed by whispered among themselves. Some were amazed, others skeptical. "She's learning so fast," one remarked. "Humans can really adapt, huh? We can do more than we sometimes give ourselves credit for." "You like it?" Alex asked, smiling. She responded with a melodic trill, and he nodded as if he understood. He was learning her patterns, her gestures, even if he didn't fully understand the language yet. Next, they went to the observation deck, where humans monitored the surrounding forests. Alex pointed out various wildlife, explaining which creatures were friendly and which were dangerous. Lyra listened quietly, her eyes following the paths of the animals, tracking them with an accuracy Alex envied. "She notices things I miss," he thought with a mix of awe and amusement. Humans often relied on instruments or cameras to observe, but Lyra could see details with a clarity he had never experienced. "She might even be better at this than I am," he admitted. As the day progressed, they began experimenting with basic communication games. Alex would point to an object and say a word. Lyra would respond with a sound or gesture. Slowly, patterns emerged. When Alex said tree, she pointed at a tree. When he said water, she mimicked drinking. They laughed together when she imitated him clumsily, tipping over a small plant accidentally while trying to show she understood. It was exhausting but exhilarating. Alex realized that teaching someone who was intelligent in a completely different way of thinking required patience, creativity, and humor. And humans, he reflected, were capable of all three, even under strange circumstances. By mid-afternoon, Alex decided to take Lyra outside the settlement. He wanted her to experience the alien world fully, not just the controlled environment of the colony. The forest of Erendor was dense with tall, bioluminescent trees, glowing vines, and small creatures that scuttled through the undergrowth. The air was crisp and carried a faint, sweet scent from the native flora. "Stay close," Alex said gently. "Some creatures here, well, they're not dangerous, but they can be curious." Alex watched her with fascination. She was learning not just about humans, but about the world itself. And he realized that in return, she would teach him things he could never have imagined. It wasn't long before they encountered the first real challenge. A small animal, curious and quick, darted toward them. Lyra instinctively reached out, and with a simple hand gesture, the creature froze, then cautiously retreated. Alex stared, amazed. You can communicate with them." They continued deeper into the forest until they reached a shallow creek with crystal-clear water. Alex demonstrated drinking from it carefully, showing Lyra how to cup her hands. She watched, then mirrored him perfectly, drinking with precise movements. He laughed. "You're a natural." There was a connection forming between them, not just as human and alien, but as companions learning and discovering together. As the sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the forest floor, Alex decided it was time to return. Lyra had absorbed so much in one day that Alex was both amazed and exhausted. He realized that teaching her would require patience, creativity, and a willingness to embrace the unexpected, qualities humans had in abundance if they chose to use them. Back at the settlement, Alex prepared a simple meal and showed Lyra how to eat with utensils, though she preferred using her hands. They laughed together as she imitated him, clumsily knocking over a cup of water. Alex cleaned up the spills, smiling. "Tomorrow we try again, and maybe I'll teach you how to carry a cup without spilling." When night fell, the two of them sat outside, watching Erendor's twin moons rise. The alien girl's luminous eyes reflected the silver glow, and Alex felt a deep sense of connection he had never experienced before. He realized that this partnership, unexpected, strange, and challenging, was already changing him. Humans were capable of amazing things when faced with the unknown, and he knew that together, he and Lyra could face anything this world threw at them. Lyra made a soft, musical trill that sounded like contentment. Alex smiled. "Yeah, I think we're going to be okay," he said quietly. For the first time, he didn't feel like a human alone in a vast, alien world. He felt like a guide, a teacher, and a friend, and perhaps, he thought with a small grin, he was learning just as much from her as she was from him. He watched Lyra carefully as she leaned back, observing the moons and stars, her silver hair glowing faintly in the soft moonlight. Alex realized that humans might be fragile in many ways, but they had something unique, the ability to adapt, to connect, and to face the unknown with courage. And Lyra, he understood, would see that in him, just as he would see her in ways no one else could. As the night deepened and the forest around them settled into quiet sounds of nocturnal creatures, Alex whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, we learn more, and maybe, just maybe, we'll understand each other fully one day." A day of simple lessons and cautious exploration had turned into a journey of discovery, trust, and connection. And he knew, deep in his heart, that humans had a power unlike any other, the power to embrace the unexpected, learn quickly, and form bonds that could change the universe. He felt ready for the challenges ahead. And with Lyra by his side, he knew that the adventure had only just begun. The morning sun spilled golden light across Erendor's forest, casting long shadows that danced between the towering trees. Alex packed a small satchel with supplies, water, rations, a few basic tools, and checked over the map of the nearby wilderness. Today, he had decided, they would leave the safety of the settlement entirely. He wanted Lyra to see more of the planet, and he wanted to see what she was capable of outside controlled spaces. Lyra had been waiting in the quarters, already awake, her luminous eyes reflecting curiosity and quiet excitement. When Alex entered, she rose gracefully from her resting place, silver hair catching the morning light like strands of liquid metal. "Ready?" Alex asked, trying to sound confident, though a knot of excitement and nervousness twisted in his stomach. Lyra tilted her head, made a melodic trill, and stepped forward. Alex took it as her way of saying yes. They began walking through the forest, moving carefully along a winding path Alex had explored before. The trees here were massive, their trunks glowing faintly with bioluminescent patterns even in the daytime. Small creatures scuttled through the underbrush, watching the travelers with curiosity. Alex kept a hand near his utility knife just in case, while Lyra moved with quiet confidence, seemingly unafraid of the alien wildlife around them. As they ventured deeper, Alex began pointing out features of the terrain. "See that ridge over there?" he said. "It's usually home to a small herd of grazers. They're shy but fascinating. Birds with translucent wings flitted through the branches, their calls echoing like chimes. Small pools reflected the alien sky, and the soft hum of the forest created a sense of serenity. Alex felt at ease, though he knew this calm would not last. Sure enough, as they approached a narrow canyon, a loud rustle came from the trees above. Alex froze. "Stay back," he whispered, scanning the branches. A shadow moved, large and fast. Then another. Soon, several creatures, predatory, four-legged animals with sleek, metallic-looking fur, emerged from the underbrush, their eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Alex's heart raced. He had read about these animals in the colony files. They were curious and sometimes aggressive, and they had been known to attack humans who strayed too far. He gripped his knife tightly, ready to defend himself, but Lyra stepped forward. "Wait," he said sharply. "Don't." One by one, they retreated into the shadows, leaving only a faint rustling behind. Alex stared at her in disbelief. You controlled them." Humans might be brave and clever, but Lyra had instincts and intuition that seemed almost magical. Once the creatures were gone, Alex exhaled deeply. "Okay, I guess we should stick together even closer from now on." Lyra nodded, or at least he thought she did, and fell into step beside him. They continued along the canyon edge, the path becoming narrower and more treacherous. Rocks jutted out and the ground was uneven. Alex had to move carefully, testing each step before placing his weight. Lyra moved as if she were floating, her movements fluid and precise. Suddenly, the ground beneath Alex's foot shifted. A hidden patch of loose stones gave way, and he stumbled, barely catching himself on a protruding root. Lyra reached out immediately, grasping his arm with surprising strength. "You okay?" he asked, breathless. She made a soft, melodic sound, leaning slightly closer. Alex realized that she was checking to see if he was hurt. The realization struck him hard. Lyra wasn't just following him. She was aware of him, his movements, his safety, and his presence mattered to her. They continued carefully, and soon they reached the top of a ridge that overlooked a valley below. The view was breathtaking, rolling hills, glowing rivers, and alien forests stretching as far as the eye could see. The air was crisp, and the wind carried the faint scent of the alien flora. Alex let out a long breath, feeling a mix of awe and relief. "Wow," he murmured. Lyra mirrored his stance, tilting her head as if she were absorbing the scene in her own way. They spent some time there, observing the valley. Alex pointed out the grazing creatures, explaining their behaviors and patterns. Lyra listened, her luminous eyes attentive, occasionally making soft sounds that Alex was beginning to interpret as questions or comments. After a while, Alex suggested they explore a smaller path leading down into the valley. He led the way, testing the ground carefully. Lyra followed closely, her presence comforting despite the potential dangers. Suddenly, the unexpected happened. A small group of larger predators emerged from the foliage, faster and more aggressive than the ones before. Alex froze, knowing he couldn't outrun them. His mind raced. Think, there has to be a way. Lyra stepped forward again, raising her hands. This time she produced a series of melodic tones, longer and more complex than before. The predators paused, confused, but one of them lunged anyway. Alex reacted instinctively. He grabbed a stick, swinging it to create noise and distract the creature, while Lyra continued her melodic calls. To his astonishment, the combined effort worked. The creatures hesitated, then retreated slowly, clearly influenced by her sounds and his quick thinking. Breathing heavily, Alex turned to her. I didn't know humans could do that," he admitted, still in shock. "I mean, we're clever, yeah, but that was teamwork." Alex began to notice small ways Lyra was helping him, pointing out loose stones, warning him of low-hanging branches, and even signaling when certain animals were near. He realized that her presence wasn't just remarkable, it was indispensable. By late afternoon, they reached a shallow river. Alex suggested they rest and drink. Lyra knelt beside the water, cupping it with her hands and drinking carefully. Alex did the same, watching her with admiration. "You're amazing," he said quietly. She made a melodic trill in response, and Alex laughed. "I think that means you're not impressed," he joked. She tilted her head again, and Alex felt a warm sense of connection, a silent understanding forming between them. As they rested, Alex reflected on the day's events. Humans might not have the natural instincts or abilities of some alien species, but they had something else: ingenuity, quick thinking, and the ability to work as a team. Lyra had instincts, intuition, and intelligence, and when combined with his own skills, they had managed to navigate dangers he never thought possible. After their rest, they began the journey back to the settlement. The forest was quieter now, shadows stretching long under the setting sun. Alex stayed close to Lyra, aware that while they had survived today, the world of Urindor was unpredictable and full of surprises. When they finally returned to the settlement, the colonists were waiting, curious about their adventure. Alex explained briefly what had happened, careful not to exaggerate, while Lyra made her soft, melodic sounds, occasionally gesturing. Some colonists watched in awe, realizing that Alex had not only survived, but had also gained the respect and cooperation of an alien being unlike any they had seen before. Alex felt a surge of pride. He had started the day expecting a simple companion, a pet to care for. Instead, he had faced real danger, relied on his wits, and learned to work with someone completely different from himself. And in the process, he had discovered a deeper truth. Humans were capable of much more than they often realized. Lyra followed him to his quarters, moving with quiet grace. Alex set out some food for her, and they ate in companionable silence, occasionally exchanging looks and small sounds that they were slowly learning to interpret. As night fell, Alex looked out at the stars, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and wonder. Today had been a true adventure, a test of courage, adaptability, and trust. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but he also knew that together, he and Lyra could face anything. He whispered to her, "Tomorrow, we go further, we see more, and we learn more about each other." Lyra tilted her head, her eyes catching the soft light of the moons, and let out a melodic trill that Alex took as agreement. Lying down that night, Alex felt a new confidence growing inside him. Humans might be unpredictable, fragile in some ways, but they had ingenuity, courage, and the ability to learn quickly. And when combined with Lyra's intelligence and instincts, they were unstoppable. For Alex, the forest adventure had been more than a test of survival. It had been proof of something humans had always carried within them, the ability to face the unknown, adapt, and thrive. And with Lyra by his side, he knew that every new challenge was not a threat but an opportunity. As sleep claimed him, Alex smiled softly, knowing that tomorrow would bring another adventure, another chance to learn, and another moment to prove that humans could rise to any occasion, even on a world as strange and beautiful as Erendor. The morning sun bathed the settlement in warm light, casting long shadows across the garden and the glass-like domes that housed the colonists. Alex woke early, feeling a mixture of excitement and curiosity. Yesterday's adventure had been more than he could have imagined. He had seen the dangers of the forest, relied on Lyra's instincts, and discovered new strengths in himself. Today, he wanted to take things a step further, not just survival, but understanding. Lyra was already awake when he entered the room, sitting near the window with her hands folded delicately on her lap. Her eyes reflected the soft glow of the morning, and she watched him as if she could read his thoughts. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest. Somehow, she understood more than any creature he had ever encountered, and maybe more than he realized. "Good morning," he said quietly. Lyra tilted her head and made a soft trill that seemed to echo the words back in her own way. Alex smiled. "I think that means you're ready for today." He wanted to show Lyra the human way of studying the world, to teach her the ways humans understood things beyond instinct. As they stepped outside, the air was crisp and fragrant with the scent of alien plants. The forest around the settlement seemed alive in a way that Alex hadn't noticed before. Leaves shimmered in faint patterns, small creatures scurried between the trunks, and the distant hum of insects created a soft, constant music. Alex began walking toward a nearby field, a place where colonists often conducted experiments and observed alien wildlife. "Today," he explained, "we're going to do more than explore, we're going to learn. You'll see how humans study the world." Lyra listened, made small melodic sounds, and occasionally tried to imitate his actions. At first, it was slow going. She struggled to understand some of the human methods, drawing diagrams, recording sounds, or marking observations in the notebook. But Alex was patient. "It's okay," he said gently. "You don't have to get it all right away." Humans learn by trying and failing, too. After several hours, they had recorded observations of several plants, watched the behavior of small animals, and even experimented with the way light reflected on water in a nearby stream. Alex was surprised by Lyra's own methods. She would gently touch creatures to observe reactions, or tilt her head at a certain angle to understand the shimmer of water. Her intelligence and curiosity were remarkable, and Alex felt a growing respect for her abilities. As the afternoon sun climbed high, Alex decided it was time for a break. He led Lyra to a quiet glade filled with soft grass and small, glowing flowers. They sat side by side, enjoying the warmth and calm. Alex pulled out some simple food, fruit, nuts, and bread, and offered it to her. Lyra tasted each item carefully, mimicking his gestures, and made soft sounds that Alex interpreted as approval. "You're learning fast," he said with a smile. "Faster than I expected." Lyra responded with a melodic trill, and Alex laughed. "Yeah, I think that means thank you, or maybe you're just teasing me." something humans like to do that isn't just about survival or observation. It's a way to express feelings, to communicate without words. The sounds she made were tentative at first, but then she began to pluck with confidence, creating tones that harmonized with his. Alex's heart lifted. "You're incredible," he said. Lyra's eyes shimmered, and she tilted her head slightly, as if acknowledging the compliment. The two of them continued for several minutes, creating a small melody together, each learning from the other's rhythm and timing. After the music, Alex suggested a game of observation and mimicry. He demonstrated small gestures, movements, and sounds, asking Lyra to repeat them. She picked up each action quickly, often adding her own variations that surprised him. Alex realized that humans and Lyra's species shared a common ability, the desire to learn, to adapt, and to create. As the day wore on, Alex noticed a subtle change in Lyra. She was beginning to anticipate his actions, respond to his gestures before he completed them, and even initiate small experiments of her own. It was clear that she was not just learning, she was innovating. "This is amazing," Alex said quietly as they rested again in the clearing. "Humans have curiosity, yes, but you take it to another level, and together we're unstoppable." Lyra made a soft trill that sounded almost like laughter, and Alex felt a surge of joy. The colonists began to notice their progress as well. Some came to observe from a distance, amazed at the bond forming between human and alien. Alex realized that their partnership was more than just practical. It was a demonstration of human potential, of the ability to connect, adapt, and thrive alongside beings from entirely different worlds. Later in the afternoon, Alex decided it was time to introduce Lyra to basic tools humans used for construction and problem-solving. He led her to a small work area where simple structures had been built. Alex showed her how to assemble basic parts, measure distances, and use simple instruments to ensure accuracy. Lyra watched, then attempted the tasks herself. At first, she struggled with some of the human methods, but she quickly adapted, modifying techniques slightly to suit her own understanding. Alex marveled at her ingenuity. Humans often relied on trial and error, while Lyra seemed to combine instinct, observation, and creativity seamlessly. "You're making it easier for me," Alex said with a smile. "I never thought anyone could improve on human methods." Lyra tilted her head, glowing eyes focused on him, and let out a soft trill. Alex took it as a sign of understanding, perhaps even pride. As the sun began to set, casting long orange shadows across the forest, Alex and Lyra sat atop a small hill overlooking the settlement. The twin moons rose slowly, bathing the world in soft silver light. Alex reflected on the day, realizing that humans were capable of much more than he had often given them credit for. Adaptability, curiosity, courage, and the ability to work together, even with someone completely different, were human strengths that Lyra now recognized as well. Lyra sat quietly beside him, her eyes reflecting the moons, occasionally making soft, melodic sounds. Alex smiled, realizing that these sounds were becoming part of their own language, a way to communicate feelings, thoughts, and ideas beyond words. "Tomorrow," Alex said quietly, "we'll go even further. We'll explore new areas, meet new creatures, and learn more about each other." Lyra responded with a trill, soft and melodic, and Alex felt a deep sense of connection. Humans might be fragile in body compared to some alien species, he thought, but they had something unique, the ability to think, to create, and to connect. Lyra had intelligence, instinct, and skill. Together, they were learning from each other in ways that neither could have done alone. As night fell and the forest around them settled into quiet sounds of nocturnal life, Alex realized that this partnership was more than he could have imagined. Humans, with their curiosity and courage, had the potential to thrive anywhere, even on worlds far from Earth. And Lyra, in turn, had the capacity to understand, appreciate, and grow alongside them. For Alex, today had been a lesson in trust, creativity, and the power of connection. He had started the day hoping to teach Lyra a few simple human methods. By the end, he had learned as much from her as she had from him, and he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new moments of wonder. He whispered softly, "We're learning together, Lyra." And that's just the beginning. The power to adapt, to innovate, and to form connections that could bridge even the vastest of differences. With Lyra by his side, he knew that no challenge was too great, no mystery too complex, and no adventure too daring. They would face the future together, learning from each other, growing stronger, and proving that humans were capable of greatness, even in the far reaches of the galaxy. And for Alex, that thought was more thrilling than any adventure he had ever imagined. The sun rose slowly over Urindor, painting the settlement and the surrounding forests with golden light. Alex woke early, feeling a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. Today was different. They were going farther than ever before, beyond the familiar trails and exploration zones. He had promised Lyra they would see more of the planet, and he wanted to make it memorable. Lyra was already waiting outside his quarters. She stood gracefully, silver hair catching the sunlight, eyes reflecting curiosity and determination. When she saw him, she tilted her head and made a soft trill, a musical greeting that made Alex smile. "Good morning," he said, stepping forward. "Ready for the biggest adventure yet?" She responded with another trill, and Alex took it as a confident yes. They packed carefully, water, food, and a few tools. Alex also brought his notebook and instruments for observing the planet. He wanted Lyra to understand how humans combined curiosity with careful study, and today would be the ultimate test of both their skills. They set off, moving quickly along a narrow path that wound through forests and rocky hills. The landscape was breathtaking, alive with alien plants and creatures. Birds with translucent wings darted overhead, and small creatures scuttled across the glowing ground. Alex kept a careful eye on Lyra, noticing how her luminous eyes scanned everything with precise attention. She was not just following him, she was learning, anticipating, and thinking for herself. As they reached a large clearing, Alex paused. Before them lay a valley filled with strange, towering rock formations and winding streams. The area had been mapped in colony files, but few had dared to explore it in person. "This is it," Alex said softly. "The unknown valley." They entered the valley carefully. At first, everything seemed peaceful. Strange, glowing plants lined the streams, and small, harmless creatures scuttled among the rocks. Alex pointed out various formations, explaining their shapes and possible uses, while Lyra listened, touching stones, examining plants, and making melodic sounds that seemed like questions. Alex responded as best he could, translating complex ideas into gestures, sounds, and drawings. Hours passed, and their journey became more challenging. The ground grew uneven, and a sudden, steep incline forced them to climb carefully. Alex tested each step, while Lyra moved beside him, balancing perfectly on the jagged rocks. At one point, a small rock slide occurred, and Alex slipped slightly. Before he could react, Lyra grabbed his arm with surprising strength, pulling him back to safety. "Thanks," he said, breathless. She made a soft trill, and Alex realized that her presence was no longer just comforting, it was essential. He couldn't imagine navigating this world without her by his side. As they reached the top of a ridge, the valley opened up to reveal a shimmering lake, surrounded by hills that glowed faintly in the setting sun. Alex and Lyra paused, both taking in the view. Alex felt a sense of awe. This was more than exploration. It was discovery, and he shared the moment with someone who truly understood it. Suddenly, a movement in the distance caught their attention. A group of large, agile creatures appeared near the lake, their bodies sleek and shimmering. Alex froze. These were predators, larger and more dangerous than any they had seen before. He glanced at Lyra, who was already analyzing the situation, her glowing eyes following the creature's movements. "Stay calm," Alex whispered. "We need a plan." Alex reacted instinctively, grabbing a stick and swinging it to distract the animal. Lyra stepped forward, her hands raised, and emitted a complex series of melodic tones. The combination of Alex's quick thinking and Lyra's unique abilities caused the predators to hesitate, then retreat slowly into the trees. Alex exhaled deeply, feeling a surge of relief and pride. "We did it," he said softly. Lyra responded with a trill, and Alex smiled, realizing that their teamwork had become seamless. Humans had courage and ingenuity, but with Lyra they also had intuition and precision. Together, they were stronger than either alone. As they continued their journey through the valley, Alex noticed how much Lyra had begun to anticipate his actions. She would gesture before he spoke, move objects he hadn't even thought to adjust, and make soft sounds that guided him. He realized that their partnership had grown beyond teacher and student. They were companions, equals, and friends. By late afternoon, they reached the far side of the valley, where strange rock formations created natural bridges and arches. Alex carefully tested the first bridge, then motioned for Lyra to follow. She moved gracefully, adjusting her balance with ease. Alex marveled at her skill and confidence. Humans had adaptability, yes, but Lyra had intuition, and together they were unstoppable. At the center of the valley, they discovered a hidden grove filled with glowing plants and a small spring. The air shimmered with a faint light, and the soft hum of alien life created a serene atmosphere. Alex and Lyra sat together, resting and observing the environment. "You see," Alex said quietly, "humans can do amazing things when we work together, when we use our curiosity, our creativity, and our courage." Lyra made a melodic trill in response, and Alex felt a deep sense of connection. She understood him, not just his words, but his meaning. They spent hours in the grove, documenting plants, observing creatures, and experimenting with simple tools. Alex taught Lyra how to measure distances, record observations, and even make small sketches. Lyra observed carefully, then began to innovate, creating her own methods that improved upon his. Alex realized that humans had ingenuity, yes, but Lyra's intelligence pushed them both to new heights. As evening approached, they prepared to return to the settlement. The journey back was quieter, more reflective. Both were tired but exhilarated. Alex realized that their adventure had been more than exploration. It had been a test of trust, teamwork, and mutual understanding. When they finally returned to the settlement, the colonists gathered to hear about their journey. Alex recounted their adventure, emphasizing the challenges they faced and how they overcame them together. Lyra made soft, melodic sounds, occasionally gesturing to clarify points. The colonists watched in awe, recognizing not only the courage of Alex but also the unique abilities of Lyra. Later, as night fell and the twin moons rose over Erendor, Alex and Lyra sat outside, watching the stars. The forest around them was alive with gentle sounds, the hum of nocturnal creatures, the rustle of leaves, and the faint glow of bioluminescent plants. "Today was incredible," Alex said softly. Lyra made a soft trill in response, and Alex smiled. "We've learned so much from each other, and we've only just begun." Lyra had instincts, intelligence, and skill, and together they had proven that collaboration between humans and aliens could achieve extraordinary things. Alex reached out and gently touched Lyra's hand. She responded with a soft trill, leaning slightly toward him. It was a simple gesture, but for Alex it symbolized everything they had achieved together: trust, respect, and a shared sense of wonder. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "we'll go even further. There's more to explore, more to learn, and more to discover, and we'll do it together." Lyra made another melodic trill, her glowing eyes reflecting the moons above. Alex felt a deep sense of certainty. This partnership was not just about survival. It was about growth, discovery, and the incredible potential of humans when they embraced curiosity and courage. As they prepared to rest, Alex looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of pride and hope. Humans had come to Erendor with nothing but determination and adaptability, and they had thrived. With Lyra by his side, Alex knew that the future held limitless possibilities, adventures that would test their skills, challenge their courage, and expand their understanding of the universe. He whispered softly, "We've done something amazing together. And this is only the beginning." Lyra's eyes glowed faintly in agreement, and Alex smiled, feeling a bond stronger than words could describe. That night, as the settlement slept under the soft light of the twin moons, Alex and Lyra rested side by side, their hearts full of wonder and anticipation. They had faced danger, solved challenges, and learned from one another. And they knew that the future was theirs to explore together. For Alex, the unexpected gift of a companion had become the greatest adventure of his life. Humans had proven once again that with courage, creativity, and a willingness to embrace the unknown, they could thrive anywhere, even on a world as strange and beautiful as Erendor. And as sleep claimed them, the soft hum of the alien night seemed to echo their promise. That together, human and alien could face anything, discover everything, and grow beyond all expectations. The adventure had ended, but their journey had only just begun.